Constitution is the supreme law of the country. It is what lays the foundation for the existence of a nation. Before the British came here, various communities of our country were living in isolation of each other, and they had basically traditional laws. When the British came, they forged us into one common society. First as a protectorate, and eventually as a colony. And at the end of colonialism, the nationalists who fought for the freedom of our country negotiated a constitution known as the Lancaster House Constitution. That is the independence constitution which gave birth to a nation state that is called Kenya. So it brought our people together. And that constitution was a fairly elaborate constitution, and you can say it was a very liberal constitution. It gave Kenyans rights, protected their rights, the rights of association, the right of assembly, the freedom of speech, but most importantly, it also provided for a devolved system of government, what was then known as Majimbo. However, within that constitution, there was separation of power between the state and government. We had a prime minister who was the head of government, and there was a queen who was the head of state. As we started, we had a multi-party system of government. But that also was considered to be a luxury. This development was not just unique to Kenya. It had taken place in other African countries. The argument was that in a developing society, opposition was a luxury that could be ill afforded, that the gigantic task of nation building required consolidation of efforts, and that the traditional African society did not provide for adversarial way of resolving disputes. The dispute was solved through consensus. What the founding president of Senegal, Leopold Sédar Senghor, called the palaver. We had, as I mentioned, a system that where the presidency had emasculated all other institutions of governance. Hence the dictatorship that emerged. With the centralization of power, all the checks and balances were removed after the opposition party was also dissolved and amalgamated with the ruling party. The corruption then set in. Things like nepotism, tribalism, ethnic discrimination became the order of the day. That is the genesis of the struggle for the second liberation of our country. And that's why I've always said that the struggle for second liberation is as old as this country has been independent. It has taken different turns at different times. At independence, the founding fathers had declared war against the three major enemies of our people, which were ignorance, poverty, disease. But this struggle became illusionary because they forgot one major obstacle, and that was bad governance. Without good governance, all the other efforts just came to naught. So the people of Kenya struggled in order to get a new constitution. This struggle took very many years, and people, Kenyans, paid a heavy price for it. Some people were detained, others went into exile, some others were even assassinated or murdered, women were widowed, children were orphaned in the course of this struggle. Ultimately, this struggle succeeded, and in August 27, 2010, we ended up with a new constitution. This new constitution has, in many ways, tried to recreate some of the rights that were taken away from the people of Kenya through the amendments to the independent constitution. And it has empowered the people of Kenya to claim their rights and to be masters in their own country. And I'm also here with my famous friend, Jaguar, who has joined me in this studio as I talk to you. It's one of the audience, my audience this evening, and he passes his greetings to you. Thank you. May God bless you.